Hello everyone, Ashna is here. Welcome to the fifth session of presentation in English. In today's session, let us deal with the poem The Schoolboy, written by William Blake. About the poet. William Blake was an English poet, painter and printmaker. He was born in 28th November 1757, Soho, London. Largely unrecognized during his lifetime, Blake is now considered a seminal figure in the history of the poetry and visual arts of the Romantic Age. Blake was raised in humble conditions and had a normal childhood, except for the fact that he was consistently subjected to visions. From a young age, Blake was noted for his verse and drawing ability, and when he was 14, he began an apprenticeship to an engraver, the career through which he would eventually earn his living. In 1782, Blake married Catherine Boucher, who would become a valuable assistant and loving wife. In 1784, Blake set up his print shop and began to create his famous illuminated etchings. It was through the convergence of his two loves, poetry and art, that Blake published Songs of Innocence in 1789. This work was followed by Songs of Experience in 1794. These works are notable not only for their beautiful illustrations and verse, but for the combination of the two. These pieces are generally considered to be Blake's masterpiece. By 1824, his health had taken a downward turn and he died in 1827. In the midst of creating an illustrated version of Dante's Divine Comedy. Brief introduction about the poem. We all know that all the stars in the sky shines, but some shine lesser than others. Everyone is intelligent, right? But not at the same level. The implication is that nobody is a dullard. It seems that those who are called dullards are those who were not allowed to explore education in the way that will impact their lives and make the best out of it. It is against this backdrop that William Blake set his pen to duty, using the school as a point to contact to alert the world that the normal classroom education, that we call it as formal education, does not suit everyone, and that some, if not majority, will do well if they are educated using a different method. Bear this in mind, students, as we go through this poem. The poem is more like a manifesto against formal education, that is classroom education. And since this is coming from a man who almost had no formal education, you should not be surprised. The Schoolboy is a poem written in the pastoral tradition that focuses on the downsides of formal learning. It considers how going to school on a summer day drives all joy away. The boy in this poem is more interested in escaping his classroom than he is with anything his teacher is trying to teach. For example, in lines 16 to 20, a child in school is compared to a bird in a cage, meaning something that was born to be free and in nature is instead trapped inside and made to be obedient. The Schoolboy is a poem about a young boy who is at school during the summer. He can't focus in his class because he wants so badly to play outside and enjoy the weather. He feels like a songbird trapped in a cage. Towards the poem's end, The boy wonders how children can grow and thrive if they are not allowed to enjoy the summer. The poet raises a sensitive issue. A happy childhood helps to build a confident young man who could serve the society in a productive way. In the poem, the boy loves to wake up to see the summer mornings. The sound of the birds singing and the huntsman's horn are both pleasant. The school, however, took away with it the joy that summer mornings carried. He would spend his days in anxiety, depriving him of pleasure which is neither in books nor in lectures. A child like a caged bird who cannot be happy by living in constant fear, depriving the children of the joy would be to doom them to a life of everlasting sorrow. So, students, let us deal with the poem stanza wise and learn more about the poem. First stanza. I love to rise in a summer morning when the birds sing on every tree. The distant huntsman winds his horn and the skylark sings with me. Oh, what a sweet company! So, the speaker in this poem is a young boy who is joyful and likes to awake in the fresh and delightful summer morning. Further describing the beauty of the summer morning, the boy likes the chirping of the birds on every tree, the sound of horn blown by the hunter from distant field, and sweet songs of skylark bird. That is a bird. So here in the first stanza is an excitement and happiness. On a summer morn, the schoolboy would like to rise early when the birds sing, the distant huntsman blows his horn, and the skylark sings with him. So he considers all these to be sweet company. Next stanza. But to go to school in a summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outworn, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. So it is a matter of utmost disappointment for the speaker to attend the school in such a sweet summer morning where actually he wishes to enjoy the delight of summer. So we got to know in the first stanza that he is very happy. He's very happy to get up early in the summer morning and to listen to the birds chirping. The first stanza speaks about excitement and happiness, but the second stanza, happiness halts immediately. The happiness stops here. It's completely disappointed. The boy is completely disappointed. He is tired and even puzzled under the strict supervision of his teacher. The phrase outworn refers to the eyes of the teacher that actually tires the boy. Instead of enjoying the pleasures of summer, the child has to compulsory attend the school where he spends his day in boredom and sadness. The word meaning of dismay is feeling of fear and discouragement. Next stanza. Then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour. Nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower, worn through with dreary shower. So the child expresses his tiredness. He sits unwillingly in the sea of boredom. The child keeps under control the attack on him by the harsh personality of the teacher and unnecessary lectures, and his urge for unchecked freedom. The learning's bower refers to a garden where the child can be taught in an interesting way only if nature accompanies him instead of the school teacher. So in this particular third stanza, the boy spends many nervous times at the school. The word meaning of drooping sit is nothing but tired, weak. The boy is tired of listening to the lectures. Anxious and restlessness of the boy. Learningsbauer is the metaphor for school. Dreary means dull, tiresome aspects of the school. Next stanza. How can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? How can a child, when fears annoy, but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? Again, the poet compares a child with a bird. According to his view, a bird which is born cheerful and fun-loving can never sing sweet songs if caged. Similarly, a child, if remained under the umbrella of annoying fear and tension, the distrust of his teacher can never enjoy the natural instincts of joy and playfulness. Indeed, a world full of rigid course of discipline will ruthlessly take away the beautiful springs, that is, the childhood days of a person's life. So, in this stanza, the boy says that how can we expect a bird to sing melodiously when it is caged? The boy wants to learn, but not in the restrictive classroom. He wants to learn, he wants to be educated. Yes, right. But not in the restricted classroom. Here, annoy means irritate. Droop, sagging. Next stanza. Oh, father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day by sorrow and care's dismay. So here the boy complains to the highest authority, that is to father and mother. If a budding child is picked and swept off in the early stage of life in an ocean of sorrow, where there is no one to care for, if unhappiness crushes the sensitive plants, beautiful and the newborn buds, summer can never be joyful. So, what he says here, if unhappiness crushes the sensitive plants, beautiful and the newborn buds, summer can never be joyful. So, to highlight the point that formal education not only takes away the joy of childhood but also hinders the child's growth forever. The poet equates the seasons of the year with different stages in life. He points out that what happens in childhood has its impact on adulthood and old age. He questions as to how there can be growth in summer if the buds or blossoms and plants themselves are destroyed in spring. If summer is bereft of fruits, naturally one has no defense against the blast of winter. In other words, the poet tells us that a happy childhood makes adulthood and old age pleasurable. But if the childhood itself is devoid of joy, there is nothing to look forward to in adulthood and old age. Thus, the poet makes it crystal clear that childhood experiences are very important to lead a happy life, and school has a major role to play in determining whether childhood experiences are conducive to growth or not. Next stanza. How shall the summer arise in joy? Or the summer fruits appear? Or how shall we gather what griefs destroy? Or bliss the mellowing year when the blasts of winter appear? So this stanza speaks about how school can never be fun, but it is like cold winter's day. If care and concern rule over the plants, flowers, birds, such a summer will be dry and will bear no fruit. The child inquires his parents as to how they can win back what pain or sadness has destroyed. If the plants perish or dry up due to the pain or sorrow, no fruit will be there in the season of autumn, that is mellowing year. This implies that if childhood pleasures and joys are restricted, one has to be very sure that the adult life will be absolutely dry and unproductive. So, here, mellowing means relaxing, a fruitful year, fruitful season. Blast of winter means strong gusts of winter. So, students, here you can see the last line of this stanza. When the blasts of winter appear. Here the schoolboy, the speaker, is waiting for the winter to appear. It means that happy that winter is going to appear so that he can enjoy his holidays than going to school. So the poet believed in freedom of speech, democracy, free love, so that he disagreed formal education and conventional teaching in both school and churches. The education should be enjoyable and amused. It should provide a child to grow mentally, intellectually, socially, and psychologically. So, students, here we have winded up the poem. Come, let us conclude the poem. It is the poem about a schoolboy who is not a happy child. He compares himself with the bird that lives in a cage. The schoolboy loves to rise in summer morning and to enjoy the singing of chirping bird. Boy loves to entertain himself by the company of hunter who blows his clarion from a distant field and sweet lullabies of the skylark. According to the boy, a school is a place where all his happiness and joy pulls away. He got tired with the rules of teachers and direct supervision on him. He has to control himself to enjoy the pleasure of summer and to spend hours in the garden where he can learn new things in better ways because he has to spend his whole hours in schooling. In the cage, a bird cannot sing a sweet song. Similarly, a child, if remained under the umbrella of annoying fear and tension, the skepticism of his teacher, can never enjoy the natural instincts of joy and playfulness. In the last stanza, he tried to make understand his parents that if a child is picked up and he can't get proper care, then he could not grow in nature plant. The parent should also understand their fault. Depriving the child of joy and freedom means a world without spring. In the absence of a happy child, we shall have a winter of sorrow. So the first stanza describes the delight of waking up to the bird singing, and what a marvelous way this is to start the day. So the next stanza, the second stanza, however, contrasts with verse 1 by describing how worried the schoolboy is to be at school and how the thought of this stops his happiness immediately. The third stanza describes school, how when homeschooled you can sit happily and read. At school there is no freedom. You will learn what you are told to learn, nothing more, nothing less. School cannot delight him. And the fourth stanza, it compares good boy at school to a bird in a cage. A bird can't sing in a cage, and also a child can't be happy in school. His potential is restrained. The fifth stanza shows how people are dismayed at school and how students are stripped of their joy. And the final stanza, the last stanza, describes how school can never be fun, but it is like a cold winter's day blasting through the warm summer. So, in the last two stanzas, Blake makes a heartfelt plea to parents using an extended metaphor of the natural cycles of life. In the world of nature, a bud grows into a flowering tree that will bear fruit as it matures. Blake references the seasons, describing how an autumn harvest of fruit sustains life through the harsh winter. In this way, he is illustrating how a happy childhood spent learning from the natural world will reap the benefits of a wise and fruitful old age. Sending children to school interferes with this natural cycle and results in a lifetime of unhappiness with no chance of cultivating wisdom. So, the overall theme of the poem, The Schoolboy by William Blake, is a boy's repelling imprisonment at his school, his company from the animate objects of the summer morning, those are birds, flowers, etc., to the inactive object of his school is indeed a matter of concern and grief. School life is a suffering for him. The boy's feeling of summer festivity is countered by the terrifying eye of the teacher that robs from him all his childhood happiness. School is nothing but a prison that negates the playful activity of childhood. So the boy thinks that the restriction of an imposed in school forms a hurdle for the natural expression of creativity and forlorn the essence of geniusness. Home assignment. Answer the following questions in a paragraph. First question. Why does the boy find school life uninteresting in The Schoolboy? Second question. Describe the boy's experience in the school. Third question. What does the schoolboy love to do on a summer morn? What drives his joy away? Thank you, students.